Your existence is not impossible, but it's also not very likely. Welcome to Night Vale. In light of the ever-declining sales of newspapers and the rise of competition from digital media, the Night Vale Daily Journal announced that it has developed a new business model. Publishing editor Leanne Hart, speaking to television and internet reporters outside the burned-down shell of the journal's former distribution plant, said their new mission as a newspaper is to kill news bloggers with hatchets. In this bold new initiative, a game-changing strategy by one of the industry stalwarts, the Daily Journal plans to just go to bloggers' homes and places of employment with hatchets and then chop them up, the bloggers, until they, the bloggers, are dead. She added that the journal still plans to use the AP Style Guide, and they are working to design a newer, more modern-looking masthead. Several journal reporters and ad reps then began swinging blades at the non-print reporters in attendance. The Sheriff's Secret Police is issuing an urgent message to all citizens. Attention, all citizens. Memorize this list. Memorize it now. It will not now nor ever be repeated. Memorize this list for your safety and protection. We cannot tell you when or where you will need to know it, but when you do, you will be safe. Here is the list. Memorize. Now. Hazelnut. Mystify, Cuttlefish, Lark, Lurk, Robert, Anglican, Pheromone, Haltertop, Marmalade, Hardware, Laser, Pepper, Release, Kneecap, Falafel, Period, Chase, Chaste, Leggings, Wool, Sweater, Heartbeat, Heartbeat, Heart, Beat, Heart, Beat, 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 Beat. Memorize that list, citizens, in order. Secret police warn that if you miss even one word, or transpose a couple of words like lurk and lark, there could be unpleasant consequences. This has been a special announcement from the Sheriff's Secret Police. Listeners, guess who called me this weekend? Well, hey, I don't like to talk too much about my personal life here. This is your community news station, not Cecil's personal life station, right? Okay, fine. I'll just say it. Carlos! Carlos, the dark, delicate-skinned scientist who came into our little town and our littler hearts several months ago. Well, I gave him my home phone number quite a while back, and he never called. And I didn't think anything of it, right? I mean, sometimes people just don't call, and that's okay. Well, to the point. Carlos calls, and I'm like, hello? Like, I don't even have caller ID, and he's like, I need to talk to you. This is important. And I'm like, okay. I mean, that's pretty forward, right, listeners? But I can't tell exactly what he wants yet. And he said, Cecil. Just the sound of his caramel voice. Cecil. He says, Cecil, I think time is slowing down in Night Vale. And then I said, after a slow sip of Armagnac, oh? And Perfect Carlos said, last week, 7 days, 24 hours each day, 60 minutes in each hour. That's 10,080 minutes in a week, right? Uh-huh. Go on, I said, trying to sound like someone with a normal pulse whose palms were not sweating. Well, I ran some figures, and during that same amount of time in Night Vale, 11,783 minutes elapsed everywhere else in the world. That's more than a full day longer. I don't know what's happening. So that's what Carlos said. Listeners, what do you think? I feel like time always slows down when we're together, Carlos and I. Is that what he's trying to say? I feel that way too. But I didn't say that. I just said, oh, this is bad. I just said, neat. Ugh, how embarrassing. I mean, Carlos is so smart, and he says so many smart things. And I'm not dumb. I like science and municipally approved books just as much as the next guy, so I can't believe that's all I could say to him. Neat. But I did manage to ask if he wanted to get together sometime and talk some more about this really fascinating subject. He said no, but he needed me to help get the word out and see if anyone has noticed a massive time shift. So that's what I'm doing now. Anything for the scientific community. I'm very into science these days. Wow. Can you believe he called me? Update on the impending invasion from the underground city. The Sheriff's Secret Police has reviewed Teddy Williams' grainy security footage from the Desert Flower Bowling Alley and Arcade Fun Complex, and they say that the nearly indiscernible gray blotch making a slight movement near the cheese dispenser definitely proves that a lost city is moving toward war with Night Vale. A balaclava-clad man wearing a mitre, cloak, and a giant silver star and speaking through a vocoder, you know, the man we all believe to be the sheriff of Night Vale, announced this morning that all citizens should prepare their town for war. This includes fortifying porches with sandbags, training children to detect landmines, and not taking off our gas masks for meals, even though it is considered polite. We talked with Teddy himself. He told us that during last night's league bowling tournament, the jukebox malfunctioned and would not stop playing Mr. Brownstone. Teddy says this could be a code, some kind of threatening message, or maybe even a subtle call for peace. He also asked that Night Vale citizens learn their shoe sizes. Shoe rentals are taking way too long, and it's really not that hard to memorize a 1 or 2-digit number. The Sheriff's Secret Police also asks Night Vale residents to please help in their Neighborhood Watch program. Secret police are in every neighborhood, watching everybody. So here are some tips on how you can help this invaluable community surveillance program. 1. Keep all windows open during clement weather. And if you must close them during rain, dust, or coal storms, please keep them clean and stand near them so cameras and microphones can clearly identify you. 2. When having any private conversation, whether via phone or with those in your home, turn down the TV and radio to cut back on noise pollution. Also, please try to keep your conversations lively. Maybe some local gossip or polarizing sports opinions. Too much boring talk about plans for your garden or where to buy good laser discs can make the secret police tired and less effective at their jobs. 3. Do not wear tinfoil hats. This hackneyed technique doesn't work at all. Helicopters could mind scan you through 20 feet of lead. You shouldn't wear these homemade hats because it draws unnecessary attention to yourself. It's pathetic and paranoid. The secret police are embarrassed for you. And as always, if you see something, say something. That's the code word to call a special raid on a neighbor or stranger. If you see something, say the word something. Now in the news. After several months of protests from ordinary Night Vale citizens of stout and sturdy character, the City Council has announced several improvements for the public library. These improvements are the following. An entrance is being constructed at the front of the building, so we will no longer have to enter by waking up between two shelves in a dizzy haze, unsure of how we got there, and then wandering around, trapped, until we wake with a start in our own beds, covered in sweat, and with a few books we checked out on our nightstand. Drinking fountains are being installed in the lobby, as well as dunking chambers and a state-of-the-art fainting pool. Librarian repellent dispensers are being placed throughout the building. Remember, if approached by a librarian, keep still. Do not run away. Try to make yourself bigger than the librarian. Finally, the children's section is getting beanbag chairs. That is all. Is it? Yes. But is it? Yes. And now, traffic. All roads lead to somewhere, and all roads come from somewhere. And in between they are a snarl and curve, a twist and a bend. Where are we going? I mean, metaphorically. Where are we coming from? I mean, literally. Is it possible to stop or turn around? And if not, what does that mean for the latest polls and economic reports? Ladies and gentlemen, Route 800 is looking clear in both directions. The old dirt road to the small wooden shack is backed up at least 30 minutes. There, now you know. Has that filled an emptiness for you? Are you any happier now? I hope so. This has been, and will always be, traffic. Listeners, I can hardly stand it any longer. During the past few stories, my phone has been silently buzzing. You guessed who? Given that I am a radio host, and it is therefore my duty to read you the news, it would be completely inappropriate for me to answer my phone regardless of how much I want to soak my ears in the oaky tones of our community's most significant outsider. But, well, he left me some voicemails. This may be a bit unorthodox, but I need your help, dear listeners, to determine where Carlos is going with all of this. Let's listen to these together, okay? What do you think he's trying to say?
First saved message.
Cecil, sorry to bother you. I need you to get the word out that clocks in Night Vale are not real. I have not found a single real clock. I have disassembled several watches and clocks this week, and all of them are hollow inside. No gears, no crystal, no battery or power source. Some of them actually contain a gelatinous gray lump that seems to be growing hair and teeth. I need to know if all clocks are this way, Cecil. This is There's something at my door, Cecil. I need to go, okay? I'll call you back in I don't know.
End of message. Next message.
There's a man in a jacket holding a leather suitcase outside my door, Cecil. He's not knocking, he's just standing in front of my door. I can't make out his face. I'm peering through a crack in the living room blinds. Oh no, he saw me.
End of message. Next message.
Sorry about that, Cecil. I forget what I was doing. I think somebody came over, but I don't remember who or what for. Anyway, I need to meet you. Are you free tomorrow afternoon? You have a contact number for the mayor and someone with the police, right? It's important that I find them. And again, can you get the word out on your radio show about the clocks?
End of message.
Did you hear that, listeners? A date! Let's go to the weather!
Hey Danny boy, I was thinking of our crew. But thinking just makes me sad, and that's why I write to you. How do you do? There's been years between us. Didn't we have big ideas when our school was done? We'd leave our smaller minds and move out to Oregon. But I was the only one who went the road less taken. I met a girl and I swept her off her feet. Made her promises I never meant to keep. There's a mean streak in me. Inside a storm was raging. She had a form like no other girl in town. We had a baby boy, but I couldn't stick around. I couldn't be tied down. That's just the way I was thinking. Those days are gone, and my heart is aching. Thought I deserved so much more than work could pay. I drove containers to BC from Monterey. It was a long way on pins and needles. She wrote me letters, but I never opened one. She met some other man and gave his name to my son. I guess the damage is done, and there's no way I can fake it. Those days are gone, and my heart is breaking. Always thought my heart to be a dark horse, laying low till race day came along. Lately my heart's feeling like a dartboard, and that's not something I had planned at all. Danny, there's no limit to the steps I could retrace, but I got a job cooking eggs at my friend's place. It's no disgrace to make an honest living. And if it makes you blue, I hope I did not dwell. And if this gets to you, I hope it finds you well. There's not much else. Out here it's been raining. Those days are here, and my heart is waiting.
Well, I just got off the phone with Carlos, listeners, and we have a date. Tomorrow afternoon. It's just coffee, but maybe it's more. Maybe lots more. Who knows? You know, they always say, if you're trying to meet someone, you may never find them. But it's when you're not looking, that's when they find you. I've always heard this in reference to government agents, but I think it applies to dating as well. Carlos did want me to ask if anyone has ever actually seen the Night Vale clock tower. I told him that it was invisible and always teleporting, and that's why he can't ever see it. I mean, that seems sort of obvious. Okay, that was unfair. Carlos is a very smart man, and I shouldn't roll my eyes just because he doesn't comprehend basic architecture. He obviously has a lot of other intriguing interests, though, like clockmaking and seismology, and who knows what else. Oh, happy day, listeners. Thanks for listening and for helping me through this. I'm so very excited. Before we go, intern Stacy just handed me this. The Sheriff's Secret Police would like to issue a correction to their earlier special alert. In their warning, they stated that memorizing a very specific list would keep you safe. This is incorrect. According to the new statement, quote, "We are not safe. We are all being hunted by time and our own deceitful bodies. Memorizing the list will merely prevent additional external pain beyond that which you experience daily just by being alive. The Sheriff's Secret Police regret the error." End quote. That's it for our news. Stay tuned next for a community-wide frisson of cosmic fright. Thank you again, Night Vale. May you, too, find love in this dark desert. May it be as permanent as the blinking lights and as comforting as the dull roar of space. Good night, Night Vale. Good night.
Doesn't have to. Our Plague Year. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
Trust everyone. Welcome to Night Vale. Hello, citizens of Night Vale. I bring you now to our ongoing coverage of the Valentine's Day aftermath. Emergency workers have been at it since early this morning, starting the long task of cleanup and recovery. Reports are still hazy, but we believe that the housing developments of Marshall's Gorge and Golden Dunes have both been wiped completely off the map, while Coyote Corners and Cactus Bloom are reporting extensive damage to structures and power lines. Please, If you are not directly involved in the recovery and cleanup from Valentine's Day, stay off the roads to make room for those who are. This Valentine's Day, as all Valentine's Days, will not succeed in bringing our city down. This Valentine's Day, as all Valentine's Days, will soon recede into painful memory, fading with time until another foul Valentine's Day is upon us again. In other news, the Randy Newman Memorial Night Vale Airport has announced some schedule changes due to multiple severe weather conditions, including the existence of an atmosphere, and that strange fiery orb that appears for approximately half of every 24-hour period. Many of today's flights will be delayed for several hours, while the rest will be moved into the past, and will have already happened last week. All arriving flights have been canceled, except those from JFK, LAX, and XTA, which will continue on the usual routine of unscheduled arrivals that are a complete surprise to both the pilots and air traffic control, based on routes that appear to violate the simple laws of physics and geography. In addition, Martin McCaffrey, local TSA representative, reminded all travelers that security measures are in place for their own safety, and we should respect the sacrifice needed to keep our lives and our country secure. Martin said, "I know going through both a metal and full-body scanner, as well as crawling through a lengthy pitch-black tunnel while a recording of a monotone male voice lists possible ways of dying, are all inconveniences. And I know that many travelers are concerned with privacy issues involving the voice of a small child that comes through strategically placed ceiling grates, asking them to name every person they have ever kissed. But these are all necessary evils." Mr. McCaffrey then went on to draw a quick sketch of a strange, elongated dark figure crawling out of a kitchen refrigerator, after which he immediately insisted that he had no memory of creating the picture and no idea what it could mean. More on this eventually. Probably. Hey! Here's a health tip from the greater Night Vale medical community. It's possible you won't be able to kill it. If it manages to burrow under your skin, stop fighting, because it has already become part of you. Welcome your new body mate. Listen to what it has to say, and see where the new symbiotic lifestyle takes you. Emergency workers report that the damage from Valentine's Day is worse than previously projected. They describe bodies strewn upon the ground, covered in glitter and paper cupids. Entire buildings collapsed, leaving only rubble and chalky candy hearts. And of course, there is the sad fate of those chosen to be another person's Valentine. Little can be said to help the families of those unfortunates, except that the process is, while exactly as ghastly and excruciating as feared, apparently not as horribly slow and drawn out as it appears to outside observers. As usual, no aid has come our way from either the state or national government. The State House even went so far as to send a formal reply, the entirety of which reads, "Sorry, we can see what you were going for, but maybe we just don't get that kind of thing." Anyway, creative stuff, and have a happy Valentine's. Those monsters. If you or anyone you know has any footage or photos of the events of Valentine's Day, please send them directly into the station so that we may put the images and video on the radio. Thank you, and be safe. The City Council recently moved to name dance as the official town language. This measure has been met with tense debate and raised voices over the past several weeks. Proponents say we need a unified language, as it will save money on municipal signage and documentation, not to mention bring us together as a community. The poetry of the human body, they said, while quickly pulling in their elbows and turning their bowler hats down over their eyes in an obvious tribute to Bob Fosse, mates physical being with mental necessity, a marriage that brings purpose to our quickly rotting, living corpses. Opponents say that this move, if voted into law, is discriminatory against the physically handicapped. Also, less than 10% of Night Vale citizens have ever taken a single dance lesson, let alone achieved lifelong mastery of one of the most ethereal and difficult to grasp art forms. One opponent, who asked to remain nameless out of fear of retribution, told us the bill was entirely funded by lobbyists from Cheryl's Little Princess's dance studio. Just follow the money, they said. Then the anonymous insider's pupils grew until they eclipsed the whites. Their tongues slid out from their knife gash of a grin, and their hair would not stop graying and growing. A final vote is expected on Tuesday. And now, traffic. A representative from the Sheriff's Secret Police, waving vaguely at a map in our studio, said that there are street closures, quote, all over. Just all over the general area, the representative said, tapping the edge of the map with two knuckles, a bunch of them in different places. We asked if he could be more specific, and he nodded, but did not say anything more. We tried naming a couple of streets to see if any of them were included on the list of closures, but the representative only replied with a, "Oh yeah, I mean, probably," and an ambiguous head waggle to each one. He added that anyone caught on a closed road would be dealt with in the usual manner, and then he winked and gave me a thumbs up. It is possible he was merely a vagrant who wandered into the studio. We didn't bother to check his credentials. Just to be safe, though, look out for road closures all over in the general area, listeners. They're in a bunch of different places. Probably. This has been Traffic. And now for corrections. We offer the following corrections to previous reports broadcast on Night Vale Community Radio. 1. Blue, not green. 2. A low whirring sound was heard only by those to the west of it. 3. The witness's name was Henry Gregson, and not, as we reported, Crystal Soul Eater. 4. We were feeling, at best, fine, and not, as we stated on the record, pretty good, thanks. 5. No, No, do not do what we advised. We were so terribly, terribly wrong. If you have done it already, well, our heart goes out to those who miss you. Please forgive us. Please forgive us. This has been Corrections. More post-Valentine's Day news. The Night Vale Mall's planned Valentine's Day art installation, involving footage of actual beating animal hearts projected on a vivisected teddy bear, was cancelled due to the entire mall being flooded with poisonous gas. The gas was described as difficult to breathe and a major cause of death to those who stood in it. Mall PR officials expressed regret at the cancellation, saying, "Man, it's like every time an artist has a bold new idea, the system has to come in and shut them down." They concluded by muttering, "It stinks, man, it stinks," before going off to sulk in the Red Cross medical tent. Emergency workers, meanwhile, report coming across a stash of unactivated Valentine's Day cards, forcing them to cease operations until a specialized team could be called in to deal with the danger. 3 workers died before they could retreat. Also, Night Vale Community Radio intern Stacy died a couple of months ago, soon after our last mention of her. Our sympathies go to the loved ones of those who are lost, especially Stacy. Sorry that I didn't get around to telling you until now. That was totally my fault. Mayor Pamela Winchell issued the following statement today in regards to the increasing public support for her ouster and replacement by dashing inmate and blogger Hiram McDaniels. Winchell said, "The mayor smells of olives. The mayor burns like a match tip and casts her flickering light upon the darkened path of fate. The mayor does not have keys to the stone door. The mayor is the stone door and all that quivers behind it. The mayor is forgiving. The mayor makes no mistakes. The mayor clutches tightly to your lungs, all 6 arms embracing your savory breaths. Let the mayor out. Let the mayor out. Let the mayor out." There were no follow-up questions, but the press pool did let out a simultaneous "Om" as fire burst forth from the podium, and the conference room ceiling flew away, revealing a midday night sky that had grown cancerous with blinking stars. McDaniels is still in jail, awaiting trial for insurance fraud and evasion of arrest. He has previously announced interest in becoming mayor of Night Vale and is a 3,600-pound, 5-headed dragon. In other news, several alert citizens have reported that the Night Vale post office, closed since the strange and probably supernatural attack that it suffered several months ago, now appears to be open for business once again. This is good news for all of us, as we, as a city, have been unable to send or receive letters and packages since the closing. All private delivery companies, of course, refuse to enter the greater Night Vale area because, a FedEx spokesperson explained, it is cursed. Witnesses say the post office has opened its doors and looks to be full of activity. There have been a few changes. For instance, all clerks behind the counter are now strange cloth-wrapped figures who hum tunelessly and turn in place instead of doing any sort of official postal business. In addition, the entire customer line and lobby area is full of more of these cloth-wrapped figures, all similarly turning and humming. Those who have tried to enter the building have reported an immediate wave of dizziness and nausea, followed by visions of strange jagged peaks and a churning black ocean. Also, they say, stamps now cost 2 cents more than a few months ago. It is not enough, apparently, for the Postal Service to violently assault our minds with visions, but they are also intent on bleeding our wallets dry. For shame. But hey, at least everyone can get Amazon deliveries again. As their slogan says, Amazon.com, the only website now. Where did the rest of them go? Do not ask. Do not ask. And now, the weather.
When I met you, boy, you was the sweetest thing. Like a Sade tape in the coldest spring. When I saw your eyes, I thought they shined for me. Just being in your space was divine to me. Gave you true smiles and a lot more time than them balding cats who fiend to be mine. But really, love, you wasn't even fuckable. The way you were made you highly untouchable. Teach you, though, every move you made. Study from a distance, watch the games you played. And some would say I should've never came closer, but I ain't never had the taste for the phrase not supposed to. So I chose, imagine that, put a plan into play to make it public fact that I'm the one and you should've knew that them other girls have never loved you like I do. Took some time, but most good things do manifest when the time is true. I admit I was nervous, cause things get changed. Something about my lifestyle makes love so strange. So many angles and tangled components. Everybody wanna touch just for the moment, but you put a new hue in my blue. Added a perspective to my concrete views. About tossing caution into the breeze. Following emotion like streams to the seas. Top priority, believe you me. Like love, how you feel? You alright? What you need? It's more than your lips on the nape of my neck, or your hands on my breast with your leg on my thigh, or the look in your eyes as you slide inside. It's the way you make me wanna live instead of die. Dive into a treacherous sea, bring you Neptune's shoes to keep you happy. I would fly into a merciless sun, steal you the sky, 'cause you're the one. The funniest part is that I've never claimed you, yet and still when I talk to God, I name you. Even got your own song. Look, you a star, no need to call names. You know who you are. I give you everything. Be the mother of your seeds, keep the world at bay. If you need time to breathe, be the chest to rest on when things a bit too much. These offers they stand, so no need to rush. You young, black, and gifted, a whole life ahead of you. I love you for that. Would never try to tame you, so I remain dedicated in the wings, inspired by your laugh to wait for things. I just hope you aware what you actually got. A true woman make my man want for not. So when you hear the song, know I'm speaking to you. This is a B-girl ballad for true. Dive into a treacherous sea, bring you Neptune's shoes to keep you happy. I would fly into a
Ladies and gentlemen, emergency workers report that they have reached Old Town Night Vale, and further report that it is a scene out of a nightmare, assuming you have had the usual nightmare in which Old Town received minor structural damage and debris with no serious injuries. Emergency workers report that they have treated those who need treating and have cleared away what needed clearing away. They report that the usual stress of day-to-day life was worse, but now it seems better, and that later, they project, it will be worse again. Emergency workers report that they are feeling good about stuff in general for once. Emergency workers report that they are smiling and they don't even know why. Emergency workers report a cloud. Just that. A cloud. And isn't it funny how we often don't notice little things like that? They report. Well, listeners, it seems perhaps that we have come through this day and reached some other side. Not unaffected, no, not unchanged, but here. After all, this Valentine's Day, as all Valentine's Days, will not succeed in bringing our city down. This Valentine's Day, as all Valentine's Days, will soon recede into painful memory, fading with time until another foul Valentine's Day is upon us again. Stay tuned next for me saying good night, Night Vale, good night. Good night, Night Vale, good night.
Who's mine, but fair enough. One who is not. That's welcome tonight.
The Truth Seeker.
And click on store. Oh, and hey, thanks.
The optimist says the glass is half full. The pessimist says the glass is half empty. It is only the truth seeker who wonders, why is the glass there? Why is there water all over the floor? Why is it covering every other surface of the house? Who, or what, is doing this to us? Welcome to Night Vale. Listeners, a new traveler has arrived in Night Vale. This is not uncommon, perfectly located as we are between several vertices. But this traveler is not one who will be mistaken for those other travelers. You know the ones. This traveler is said to have a foreign face and a handsome but terrible beard. He is reportedly wearing a uniform with silver epaulets, golden braid, and buttons of a metallic alloy not describable in our limited color language. This is all very similar to the marching band uniform of the Desert Bluffs Cacti, prior to the incident. But the traveler's uniform is not scorched and soaked with blood. I cannot say that I trust this interloper very much, and his actions do not give me reason to trust him, suggests the Manual on Interlopers, published by the Sheriff's Secret Police. According to the manual, citizens are advised to not speak with the traveler, and to dig a shelter in their garden, or, if they do not have a garden, to make themselves into a metaphorical shelter through vigilance and a positive outlook. Who can say what agenda the traveler might have? He drives a large and expensive truck. He digs in the desert late at night. He does not seem adequately respectful of forbidden areas. And he has already married Night Vale's third most beautiful woman, Cactus June. He persuaded her to come down from her cactus, and he has married her. I am looking at a photograph of the wedding in the newspaper at this very moment. Now, I am drinking something. Now, I am eating an enchilada that was just handed to me. Mayor Pamela Winchell called an emergency press conference today, her fourth this week. After the usual crowd had gathered around, minus those arrested at previous press conferences, she began proceedings by vibrating slightly and staring at the sun for 5 straight minutes. Once these usual pleasantries were over, she read her statement, which was the following. The fences in the caves, a heart throbbing for what it cannot have, a heart not having what it needs to throb. The fences in the caves, heat from below and above, but all is cold betwixt. The fences in the caves, the fences in the caves. Then she vanished in a puff of green smoke. Several follow-up questions were asked, but since no one was at the podium, none of them were answered. Many of the questions were rhetorical anyway. After the round of questioning, a few arrests were made, and the chosen journalists were led away to wherever journalists are taken when they disappear forever. All in all, a relatively uneventful press conference. And now a public service announcement. The Night Vale Psychological Association recommends that you spend at least 30 minutes each day believing what you see. The NVPA cited a study showing that more than 60% of all working citizens live in a self-created dome of obstinance, distraction, and surreal fantasy. When confronted with actual things outside of their own understanding, referred to by the psychologists as real life, most test subjects closed their eyes and pretended there was a spider or something on the ground. The study does warn that trusting your own eyes can lead to some dangers. For instance, poltergeists, robots, and humidity may create visual illusions, tricking you into unsavory activities like gambling and eating non-foods, so that they can gloat at your misfortune. But the NVPA assures us that taking what you see at face value, even if only for a few minutes daily, is the most efficient way to live. It saves the mind from the emotional stress of self-fiction and skepticism. The NVPA statement adds that you look good in that shirt, and that you should wear tighter clothing. People want to see what you look like under there. They also ask you to just touch their back. You don't have to rub it, just touch it. Just put your hand there. God, I miss you so much. The report concludes. This just in. The traveler and his wife, Cactus Judy, were seen shopping at the Ralphs just moments ago. He was shaking his head at the fashion of our clothing and clucking derisively at our telephones and grocery scales. "We have much better when I am from," said the traveler according to one report, which I am choosing to believe. He added, "That's right, I said when and not where." He then winked. The sheriff's secret police, meanwhile, are more than a little interested in the sudden reopening of Jerry's Tacos, located on the corner of Ouroboros Road. You will recall that Jerry's Tacos was encased in amber last summer with Jerry inside. Now, it is as if Jerry never transgressed against nature with his enchiladas. The traveler has been spotted in the vicinity of Jerry's Tacos. If I were you, and I do not believe I am, I would be very careful about ordering anything off the secret menu at Jerry's. Definitely do not order anything off the Forsaken menu. And now for corrections. In a previous report, we at Night Vale Community Radio were talking about the commonly held belief that there is such a thing as mountains. We scoffed at this belief and bellowed repeatedly, "It is flat all the way round. It is flat all the way round." We wrote lists of friends we knew to believe in mountains and sent the lists to the city council, recommending that all of them be put into indefinite detention. We got physically violent with an effigy labeled Mountain Believer, punching it repeatedly before burning it in our station's bloodstone circle. In fact, we devoted a full day of our programming to getting together the entire station staff and screaming in unison, "Mountains, more like nothings," into the microphone. Recently, one of our previously mentioned friends, who thankfully had not yet been apprehended by the council, took us for a drive out to a mountain. We looked at the mountain and even touched it, and it was definitely real. Therefore, we are forced to admit there is indeed at least one mountain in this world, and we apologize for our previous energetic assertions to the contrary. I'm still not completely sold on there being more than one mountain. It's possible that the mountain apologists built a single mountain in order to prove their skewed worldview. Not certain, listeners. Not certain, but possible. This has been Corrections. Here now is an update. We're getting reports that the traveler was just seen standing on the tailgate of his truck and addressing a small crowd of curious people. "I have traveled here from the future. I have saved Night Vale from destruction, and I will save it again," the traveler reportedly said to the crowd. "You do not know this because your memories have been changed along with the course of events. Now that I have altered the past, I cannot return to my own time. I am staying here. I will show you the way. I hope you enjoy my enchiladas." The sheriff's secret police said they can bring no charges against the traveler, as Night Vale recently voted to decriminalize time travel. Just what did the traveler mean when he said he saved our town? How will he save it again? We have always trusted in the unknowable purposes of the hooded figures. Can we afford to abandon what we presume is their wisdom and follow this new prophet of tomorrow? And now a paid editorial sponsored by Yelp.com. This has been a paid editorial sponsored by Yelp.com. Here's a look at the community calendar. 8 p.m. Thursday at Dark Owl Records, Curtis Mayfield reads from his new book, Where Am I? I Cannot See, Cannot Feel, Do Not Know Who I Am or How Long I Have Been Here, a memoir. Friday afternoon is free admission day at the Children's Science Museum. After school, take the kids to the newest exhibit, Frogs, Truth or Legend. They've also installed a new interactive learning room where young scientists can play freely with such scientific items as paint thinner, nail polish remover, glass cleaner, and a half-empty bucket of grout starter. Saturday has been merged with Sunday to create Super Day. Monday will not harm you, but you should stock up on latex gloves nonetheless. And Tuesday is Hornet-free dining at the Olive Garden. More news soon, but first, the weather.
I was searching for something I could not describe. So I stared at the sun till the tears filled my eyes. Well, I thought I was empty, so I paid the cost. But now that I'm found, I miss being lost. Well, I opened my heart and I let Jesus in with the promise that I would be free of my sin. But I only felt guilty that he died on the cross. Now that I'm found, I miss being lost. Now that I'm found, I miss being lost.
Ladies and gentlemen, and those of you not clearly falling into either category, it is my ambivalent duty to report that the traveler is suddenly gone. His photograph has disappeared from the front page of the newspaper. His truck is missing. Some who reported seeing him have called back to say that they must have been mistaken, and that they have never seen anything, that they don't even know how to open their eyes. Perhaps he has leaped again through the stream of time or past to an alternate dimension created by the changes he has made to our world. Or perhaps he was surrounded suddenly by the hooded figures, speaking in voices that only the traveler could hear. Perhaps they closed in on him, and he panicked as their circle tightened and tightened around him until all that could be seen by horrified onlookers were the hooded figures. And perhaps, just as suddenly, the hooded figures were gone, and nothing remained of the traveler except for a pile of indescribable buttons from his uniform, left scattered around the hole in the vacant lot out back of the Ralphs. Whatever happened, I can only say, farewell, traveler. In other news, Jerry's Tacos, now and forever, shall be under the management of the hooded figures. Plants in the vicinity of the restaurant have already begun to wilt, and animals and insects are avoiding the area. The restaurant has been renovated to resemble a 9-meter-high black monolith with no visible entrance. If we learn of any change in the menu or pricing, you will be the first to know. Finally, we are pleased to end today's broadcast with some happy news from Night Vale's hospital. There have been several additions to the community. Talk Wallaby's wife, Herschel, has given birth to an adult man's detached hand, which they have named Megan. The Black Dauphin has given birth to a smooth metallic pellet of astonishing density. It joins 3 previous pellets with similarly curious properties currently being kept inside a safe in the Sheriff's Secret Police's Secret Police Vault. And the beautiful widow, Cactus Jane, whose husband we no longer remember at all, is glad to bring into this world a baby boy she has named Champ. The birth was attended by several agents from a vague yet menacing government agency. Champ is said to be a child with a foreign face and a handsome but terrible beard. Well, listeners, this has been another day, another night, another bit of time in this bit of space. I'm sitting at my desk, feet planted on old, thinning carpet, but in my mind, I am anywhere but. I am above, in the sky above, looking down at our little Night Vale. I see the lights in grids and curves, and the places where there are no lights, because they are off, or missing, or invisible. I see roads with cars, and the cars have people in them, and the people are traveling through the dark in the comfort and light of the cars, and I see all of this from above. I see where the town gives way gradually to the desert, the last few lights from the last few homesteads, like stray sparks from a campfire, tossed out into the absolute black of the scrublands and the sand wastes. I see the orbit of citizen around citizen, all these ordinary Night Valians about their ordinary lives in this singular, extraordinary place we call home. Moving higher into the cold, thin air of the upper atmosphere, I see below me the crisscrossed lines of contrails and chemtrails, the signature of air machines that have long since moved on, the footprint of our civilization upon the night sky. and looking up, I see only the stars and the void, all a little closer than they were before, all still so unreachably distant. I have something of urgent importance to tell you, but I will tell it to you later, or I will tell it to you not at all. Certainly, I will not tell it to you now. Now, I merely look, from the vantage point of my own imagination, down at a town busy with its own existence. And, for now, existence is enough. Stay tuned next for an exact word-for-word repeat of this broadcast that will seem to you imperceptibly but unshakably different, although you will never be able to explain why. Good night, Night Vale. Good night.
Hey, welcome to Night Vale, a novel. Old woman of scriptbook.com/
To tell.
information and to get a list of great indie bookstores to buy from. So hey, thanks.
Blinking red light in the night sky. The future is changing, but it's hard to tell. Welcome to Night Vale. Listeners, the City Council announced moments ago that a sandstorm will be arriving in Night Vale in just a few minutes. They apologized that they did not announce this sooner, but they just kind of let their morning slip away from them. You know how it is, they said in unison. You think, oh, we should announce this dangerous sandstorm. That's priority one. But then you have to get some coffee, and you run into your coworker friends, and then you check your email, and maybe a glance at Facebook, and you just lose track of time. You know, they concluded. The sandstorm is projected to be the largest in decades, and meteorologists warned that high winds and debris from the desert could cause millions in damage. They also said that if you're not already inside with windows closed, doors locked, and eyes shut tight, then your future will probably be very different. Meteorologists then warned that raccoons are actually pretty dangerous animals despite how adorable they seem, and never, ever feed baby raccoons because the mother raccoon will definitely attack you. Have you ever had rabies shots? Oh, it is the worst, the meteorologists continued, as the press corps got restless and hoped the meteorologists would just shut up soon. God, meteorologists just don't know when to stop, the entire press corps moaned. So, take cover, Night Vale. Hide in your homes and offices, and pretend that mere walls are enough to protect you from nature's might and life's brevity and meaninglessness. Keep your radios tuned in here. We'll keep you up to date. Hey, sports fans! Assuming we're all still here after today, it's time for baseball season. This Saturday is the minor league home opener for the Night Vale Spider Wolves. They'll be taking on bitter rivals, the Desert Bluffs Sunbeams. The Spider Wolves are fielding a very young but promising pitching staff this year. Fans are especially excited to see 20-year-old hometown hero Trevin Murphy get his first chance in the starting rotation. Murphy graduated Night Vale High School 2 years ago and immediately joined the Spider Wolves, just after they discovered he could use his telepathic powers to cripple batters emotionally, often sending them into weeks-long slumps and fits of crying, even while playing in the field. The Sunbeams have some changes in their team as well. This offseason, they got a new owner and a new manager because they're terrible. Just terrible. Who even cares? And now, traffic. Highway officials are warning all Night Vale residents to stay off the roads. The sandstorm is making travel nearly impossible. We are told that several cars have stalled near the southbound off-ramp at exit 6 on Route 800. Traffic officers reported that each car screeched to a halt, and through the rushing sand they could see dozens of drivers and passengers running into the road, pairing off, and then fighting. They noted that each fighting pair seemed to be of the same build, gender, age, and were wearing the exact same thing. Also, unrelated to the sandstorm, all stop signs and traffic lights have been taken down for their bi-monthly polishing. They'll be back from the cleaners on Tuesday, officials said. Listeners, thank you for your calls and emails. We're getting word that the sandstorm has already begun to hit. Larry Leroy, out on the edge of town, called moments ago to say that the sand was thick and really flying fast, but that when it touched his skin, he could hardly feel it. He could hardly feel a thing, that the past was a fiction, and that consequences were a choice. He saw colors and shapes instead of familiar things like stoves and ponies. He shouted a bright confirmation of life up toward the sand-covered sun before gasping and screaming, "No, not you, not you!" and then hanging up the phone. Well, thank you, Larry, for that informative report. We'll certainly keep that in mind. Old woman Josie has not called, but intern Dana said that Josie updated her Facebook page with an Instagram of some rune stones. Dana has been furiously translating these symbols, and her best guess is that they say, "They come in twos. You come in twos. You and you. Kill your double." There's also a link to this amazing cat that keeps jumping in and out of boxes, and oh my god, that is the cutest thing I have ever seen. Dana, you have got to post that on my wall. Oh my god, he loves those boxes so much. And now a look at financial news. A fallow wheat field, gray sky, cut by black V's of black birds. There is a child dragging a hatchet. His eyes cast down, his eyes tight, his eyes white and red and superfluous. He knows not what he sees, but he knows what is there. A single black winged beast, beak cracked, feathers rotting, alights roughly on the child's shoulder. They stop. The bird picks at the cartilage of the boy's ear as if biting secrets into it. The boy groans, not unpleasantly. Heavy, slow clouds roll and rise, starkly contrasted against the flickering Dogero-type hills, which stoically keep the poisonous rains at bay. A sudden little river, partially walled by palsied shafts of grain, rolls by. The boy walks into it. He bends forward. His blank eyes stare into his reflection. Neither he nor his mirror knows the other is there, but the bird knows. The bird cackles, or perhaps cries. Even the bird is uncertain. The boy takes a palm full of the dark water. Most of it runs out through his long, zigzagging fingers. He licks the remainder from his dusty skin. A sound, like thunder, like drums, like steps. The boy turns and hurls his hatchet behind him. The bird flies up and away. There is a hideous thump. The boy knows not what he has hit, but that it has been wounded. He waits for its retort. This has been Financial News. This just in, Night Vale. Mayor Pamela Winchell has declared a state of emergency. She has asked that if you are still outside, you return home immediately. A second announcement shortly after says that she was lying and that you shouldn't listen to her. She's not the real mayor. I am. A third announcement followed requesting that you give me the microphone and get away from the podium. This is my press conference, you replicant clown. The press conference then erupted into shouts of phony and imposter as the press corps suddenly doubled and began fighting itself. Night Vale, do be careful. I fear this sandstorm to be quite a terrible event. Please stay safe inside, and should you see yourself, I cannot condone murdering yourself. I just don't believe violence is ever the answer. It is a question. The real answer is far more terrifying. So, make peace with your double, Night Vale. Do not be tempted to draw swords or guns. We can get along. Oh dear. What was that noise? Dana? Is everything okay in there, Dana? Who are you fighting? Dana, put down that letter opener. Dana, put away the... I'm coming in there. Let's go to a word from our sponsor. Got a home improvement project? Need help? Incomplete? Having feelings? Strange feelings? Feelings you've never felt? Incomplete? Is your body filled with hot blood, waving curves of sinew and skin? Can you feel all that blood? Is it even your blood? How can you be sure? Incomplete? Are you dizzy from it all? All of this? What are your hands doing? Incomplete? Where are your hands now? Where have they been? Where are they going? Where are you going? Have you ever broken the surface of something with a hammer? Ever channeled sublime thought into sandpaper? Ever wanted to touch something because you feel things? Because touch is the only sense you trust? Incomplete? What is trust? Is making a thing proof that you exist? Is fixing a thing proof that you have transcended mortality? History? Incomplete? Feel things? Feel things? You can do it. We can help. The Home Depot. Listeners, I have some bad news and some good news. Dana is dead, but the other Dana is alive, and I don't know which is the original and which is the double. Right now, one of the Danas is standing above her own corpse, panting. I cannot tell if she is grinning or grimacing. When I went in, she had clutched in one hand a broken stapler, and in the other a printout of this email from... Oh, God. This is the bad news I was talking about. An email from Steve Carlsberg. I don't even want to read an email from that jerk, but if printing it out was one of the Dana's final actions, I must honor her efforts. Steve writes, "The sandstorm is clearly a cover-up. I believe this was a government-created project. Our government has long been participating in cloud seeding experiments and trying to suppress the people with pharmaceuticals. I believe that this government will stop at nothing in order to..." Now you listen here, Steve Carlsberg. You're not saying anything new, Steve. Of course the sandstorm was created by the government. The city council announced that this morning. The government makes no secret that they can control the weather and earthquakes and monitor thoughts and activities. That's the stuff a big government is supposed to do. Obviously, you have never read the Constitution. Okay, sure. Government can be very inefficient and sometimes bloated and corrupt, but the answer is not to complain about everything that they do. Without government, we would never have schools or roads or municipal utilities or helpful pandemics or black vans that roam our neighborhoods at night keeping us safe. So please, Steve Carlsberg, I've had enough of your government bashing. And with that, dear listeners, let's go to the... Oh my. Look at that. Listeners, there is a black, almost indigo vortex that has formed along my studio wall. Listeners, words fail me. It is so beautiful. I can't leave you as our show is not yet over, but there must be something beyond this something, Night Vale. I must see what it is. I must go. I will try not to be long, listeners. I will try not to be long.
Hello? Hello, Desert Bluffs? What is this studio? Hey there, Desert Bluffs. I don't know if you can hear me. Kevin here. I don't know where I am. It's a radio studio, but the walls are darker. The equipment looks much older. Certainly much drier than it should be. The microphone was made... when? Have I gone back in time? Vanessa, are you in the booth? Listeners, if you can hear me, I am in a strange place. I do not know if I am in Desert Bluffs or if anyone can hear me. The sandstorm rages outside. The vortex is still there, only it's black, almost a deep blue. There's a low hum. I do not know if this is the portal or the storm or my own body. There is a photo here on the desk. It is a man. He is wearing a tie. He is not tall or short, not thin or fat. He has eyes like mine, and a nose like mine, and hair like mine, but I do not think he is me. Maybe it is the smile. Is that a smile? I can't say. I do hope he is safe, whoever, wherever he is. I hope I am safe, whoever I am. It is night. I think it is night. It is night. You may not know me, nor I you, but we have this mic and this voice, and your warm ears blossoming open to hear comforting secrets and the vibrations of a voice that pulse so deep into your body, your heart relaxes for a time. And we have this sitting right here on this odd and bloodless desk. So now, dear listeners, whoever you are, I give you the weather.
Hello? Night Vale? I told you I would be back. It took longer than I thought, but I have returned from whatever horrible place I have gone. Along the way, in the vortex, I saw a grotesque man, a foul devil of a man, and he attacked me. I tried to choke him to death, but I remembered. I remembered what I told you, and I let him live. I let that woeful beast live. I am sure he is not without his wounds and bruises, and I pity that he must return to that awful, awful place from whence he came and to where I most unfortunately visited. But somehow, I am happy he is alive, that I am alive, that you are alive, that we are alive. Outside, the winds are subsiding, the sun sweeping away our pains. I am sure there is blood staining the streets, the graffiti of our sins, the writings of an immoral but necessary battle, I presume. The bodies of some, replaced by others who were, we were, all the same to begin with. And we are healing. Those of us, whoever we are, who survived. Those others of us, whoever we are, who conquered. Whoever you are now, you are home. We are home, Night Vale. You and I are together again. my mouth, your ears, we have each other. And for now, and always, good night, Night Vale. Good night.
D&D is a podcast, a dinner party, and a semi-improvised story inspired by good food and Dungeons & Dragons.